Okay, so question 3. Question A, the energy payoff phase in glycolysis is shown in figure 6. Okay, so energy payoff phase is the second phase of glycolysis. Okay, so glycolysis, it has 10 steps. Okay, step 1 until 5 is the energy investment phase. Okay, energy investment phase. Step 6 until step 10 is the energy payoff phase. So during step 1 until step 5, 2 ATP is used. Okay, and during energy payoff phase, step 6 until 10, it produces, okay, 4 ATP molecule. And glycolysis, it occurs in the cytoplasm. Okay, so for glycolysis, you have to determine, you have to know that for glycolysis, it produces a net of 2 ATP, a net, okay, a net of 2 ATP, because you have to minus 4 minus 2, okay, to get the net production of 2 ATP that is produced during glycolysis via substrate level phosphorylation. Okay, so if you look at figure 6, actually, there's something wrong with this picture. Can you spot uh, what is the error in this diagram? Boleh tahu apa error? Kan sepatutnya arrow dia macam ni. Kan ADP produces ATP. Kan ADP produces ADP. The ATP is produced. Okay. And then tu awak kena betulkan sikit untuk awak punya gambar raja. And then this is okay, step 6 step 6 until step 10. Okay, so step that produces ATP molecule is step 7 and step 10. So once you enter into energy payoff phase, everything you have to times by 2. Okay, everything you have to times by 2. So therefore 2 ATP is produced. 2 ATP is produced. So energy payoff phase produces 4 lah, kan? So question number 1, describe one of the steps that is involved in the production of ATP via substrate level phosphorylation. So kita tahu, okay, untuk menghasilkan ATP, masa energy payoff phase berlaku pada step 7 and step 10. So awak pilihlah mana-mana yang awak nak describe. Okay, awak boleh pilih mana-mana, step 7 ataupun step 10. So if you are choosing to explain on step 7, you just tengok baliklah apa reaction yang berlaku, kan. So for step 7, kalau nak pilih step 7, step 7 involve 1,3 bisphosphoglycerate, okay, to release one of its phosphate group, kan, carbon number 1 and also carbon number 3. So the phosphate group at carbon number 1 will be released and will be received by ADP, transferred to ADP to form ATP. Okay, itu je jawapan dia. So and then 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is then converted into 3-phosphoglycerate. Okay, kalau itu untuk satu markah lah. Okay, so either of the point that I've mentioned, awak boleh cakap 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate transferred one of its phosphate group to ADP to form ATP. Dah dapat markah kat situ. Ataupun kalau nak choose to describe step 10. Okay, step 10. Awak tengoklah apa yang berlaku kat sini, kan. So phosphate group from phosphoenolpyruvate, okay, is transferred to ADP and ADP forms ATP. Kan, itu je. So that is how ATP is produced during energy payoff phase via substrate level phosphorylation. Kita panggil dia sebagai substrate level phosphorylation sebab apa? Phosphate tu asalnya daripada substrate. Okay, the substrate will transfer its phosphate to ADP. Okay, so satu markah lah. So either one you can choose, either step 7 or step 10. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to look at the next question, which is B. It shows you figure 7 that shows link reaction stage in cellular respiration. So link reaction is the second stage of cellular respiration. Okay, so it is also known as pyruvate oxidation. Okay, pyruvate oxidation stage. So for link reaction, basically it involves three major reaction to occur. Okay, where if you look at this diagram, pyruvate is a 3 carbon sugar. Okay, is a 3 carbon sugar, and pyruvate is produced in the cytoplasm. Okay, it is produced in the cytoplasm during glycolysis. So the glycolysis is the only stage of cellular respiration that occurs in the cytoplasm. So the rest will occur in the mitochondria. So because pyruvate is produced in the cytoplasm, uh, how can it enter into the mitochondria to continue the process of cellular respiration? It cannot. Okay, it cannot because pyruvate is a charged molecule. Okay, is a charged molecule, and then it cannot easily diffuse through the membrane of mitochondria. So what happens next is that during link reaction, okay, if you look at the structure of pyruvate, it has this carboxyl group. Okay, it has this carboxyl group. Okay, so the carboxyl group will be removed. Okay, the carboxyl group will be removed. Tu point number satu lah yang boleh mention kat situ. Okay, the carboxyl group or COO negative of pyruvate will be removed as carbon dioxide. Okay, as carbon dioxide. Okay, so that is point number 1. Okay. So, and also you can also mention that for the first point, you could also mention pyruvate undergo decarboxylation. Okay, decarboxylation. Okay, xylation. That is for the first point. Okay, first mark. Okay, the second major reaction that occurs during link reaction, if you look at this diagram, tadi yang carbon dioxide release tu kan. Okay, so now when carbon dioxide is released from pyruvate, okay, the process also releases electrons. Okay, so it means that pyruvate, when it releases carbon dioxide, it becomes a 2-carbon compound, which is acetate. Okay, acetate. Okay, acetate. Acetate is a 2-carbon compound. So in the formation of acetate, okay, the molecule will lose. So this is for the second point. We lose electron. Okay, electron will be lost from the remaining 2-carbon molecule, which is acetate. Okay, that is for the second point. Okay, so so next, what happens? Okay, what happens to this electron? Okay, that is removed from the 2-carbon compound. Okay, it will be received by NAD plus molecule. Okay, so that is for the next point that you can write. Okay, NAD plus A besar. Okay, NAD plus will be, kalau receive electron, it will be oxidized or reduced? NAD plus will be
Reduce.
Okay, will be reduced. Okay, so that is for the second for the next point that you can write. NAD plus will be reduced by receiving the electrons. Okay, reduced by receiving the electrons, and also hydrogen ions. Okay, so it means that the NAD plus receive the electrons and also hydrogen ion to form NADH. So the equation is basically something like this: NAD plus, okay, plus 2H plus 2 electrons to form NADH, okay, plus H plus. So the H plus will be released to the surrounding. Okay, so and then that is point nombor 2 dengan 3 ni adalah the second major reaction that occurs during link reaction. Okay, and then the third major reaction that occurs during link reaction is that the acetate, okay, the acetate will then combine with coenzyme A to form acetyl CoA. Okay, so the acetyl CoA will be produced in the matrix of mitochondria, then only it can proceed into citric acid cycle. Okay. So that is the answer for question B. So kalau tengok dalam awak punya nota tu, dia highlightkan yang link reaction ni terbahagi kepada 3 major reaction tu tadilah. 1, removal of carbon dioxide. 2, formation of acetate which involve the release of electrons that will reduce NAD plus to NADH, and then the formation of acetyl-CoA by combining acetate with coenzyme A. Okay, so ada 3 major reaction yang berlaku semasa link reaction. Okay, so question number 2. Calculate, okay, how many ATP are produced in the link reaction from 2 molecule of glucose. Okay, so kat sini markah dia 2 So when the mark is 2 mark, the first mark you have to show the calculation. Okay, you have to show the calculation. And then for the second mark is the answer, is the actual answer. Okay, so kalau kita tengok dekat sekejap Okay, selalunya kalau untuk cellular respiration, we know that for one complete oxidation of one molecule of glucose, kan, one complete oxidation of glucose, okay, during cellular respiration, okay, at the end of glycolysis, it produces 2 pyruvate. Okay, it produces 2 pyruvate. Okay, so 1 pyruvate will enter the link reaction one at a time. Okay, one at a time. So, maksudnya link reaction ni kena berlaku 2 kali. Okay, link reaction has to occur twice. Okay, twice for the oxidation of 1 glucose. So, maksudnya kalau untuk 1 glucose, you have to times this reaction by 2 every time. Okay, you have to times 2 every time. But this question, it asks for 2 glucose molecule. Okay, so maksudnya semua awak kena darab dengan 4 lah. Faham tak? Awak kena kalikan dengan 4. Okay. Okay, so maksudnya kat sini ada 2 kemungkinan yang jawapan boleh diterima. Okay, awak tahu the production of ATP is either through substrate level phosphorylation ataupun oxidative phosphorylation. Oxidative phosphorylation, dia akan menghasilkan ATP daripada NADH dan juga FADH tu yang terhasil semasa sama ada glycolysis, link reaction ataupun citric acid cycle. Okay. So kalau awak nak pilih, jawapan dia adalah awak nak pilih penghasilan ATP tu melalui oxidative phosphorylation. So jawapan dia 0 lah, kan? The production of ATP through oxidative phosphorylation is 0. Terus dapat markah 2 kat situ. Okay. So 0 production of ATP produced via substrate level phosphorylation. You get straight away 2 marks. Okay, but if you choose to calculate the number of ATP through oxidative phosphorylation, then you have to take note how many NADH molecule are produced for 2 molecule of glucose. So maksudnya kat sini sekejap ya, sekejap. Molecule of glucose. Apa jawapan kat saya 2 NADH ya? Sepatutnya awak kena kalikan dengan 4 lah, sebab 4 pyruvate okay, yang akan masuk link reaction one at a time. Okay, so maksudnya 4 NADH yang akan terhasil. So for NADH, okay, from 4 pyruvate molecule. Okay. Enter the link reaction one at a time to produce 4 NADH. Okay, so and then you have to times by how many? NADH akan menghasilkan berapa ATP semasa oxidative phosphorylation, please?
2.5.
Okay, 2.5. So kau kalikan lah. 4 NADH kali dengan 2.5, then you get how many ATP? Betul lah jawapan dia. Okay. 10. So 10 ATP molecule. Okay. Faham Boleh faham tak?
Faham, madam.
Okay. So saya harap awak faham Yang soalan macam ni dia selalu nak trick awak sebenarnya, nak test sama ada awak faham tak yang one complete oxidation of glucose, berapa banyak NADH terhasil semasa glycolysis, berapa banyak NADH terhasil semasa link reaction, berapa banyak NADH yang terhasil semasa citric acid cycle. Okay, soalan ni dia nak trick awak. Okay, awak faham tak kalau untuk dua glucose molecule berapa banyak pula? So awak kena kali everything, awak kena double up every product. Awak kena double every product for each of the stages tu. Okay. So itulah untuk soalan yang kedua. Okay, kedua of question 3. Okay. So the next question number 4. Figure 8, okay, shows an electron micrograph of a mitochondria. Okay, so as you can see, X is actually what? Cristae or inner membrane of mitochondria. Y is matrix of mitochondria. Okay, so Krebs cycle. Okay, bila awak jumpa istilah Krebs cycle, dia juga sama juga dengan citric acid cycle. Okay, cuma dalam exam awak jangan tulis CAC ini saya sebagai nak cepat, nak mudahkan. Okay, but in the exam please do not short form citric acid cycle as CAC. Okay, saya je boleh untuk mengajar ni. Okay, so Krebs cycle is also known as CAC, cuma kita banyak guna citric acid cycle lah sebenarnya. Okay, tapi dua-dua can be accepted. Okay, so Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle and oxidative phosphorylation are two stages of cellular respiration that occurs in mitochondria. Complete the table below by identifying the part labeled X and Y as well as the stage of cellular respiration that occurs in both. Okay, so saya dah namakan tadi kan. So kalau X tu apa? X tu is cristae. Okay. Okay. Balik kat nasi skim ni. Okay, tak apa. Okay, so X is cristae. Okay, so stage of cellular respiration, what occurs in cristae? It involves oxidative phosphorylation ataupun you can also write electron transport chain, because cristae or the inner membrane of mitochondria is where all the electron carrier of ETC are embedded. Okay, and also enzyme, which is ATP synthase, are embedded to synthesize ATP molecule. And as for Y, okay, so far Y is matrix. Okay, matrix of mitochondria. Okay, and then what is the stage of cellular respiration that occurs in matrix? It is citric acid cycle ataupun kita terima juga Krebs cycle. Okay, Krebs cycle. So 1 mark each. Okay, so next question, describe how the structure of a mitochondria is adapted for oxidative phosphorylation. Okay, so dah tahu kan? Oxidative phosphorylation, it has two components, okay, which is electron transport chain and also chemiosmosis. Okay. Okay, chemiosmosis, saya punya tulisan ni macam tu je lah. Okay. So in order to optimize, okay, the product of oxidative phosphorylation, okay, so what are the feature of mitochondria that fits, okay, the need of oxidative phosphorylation to produce a high number of ATP? Apa feature mitochondria yang dia boleh fit untuk optimumkan oxidative phosphorylation ni, untuk menghasilkan lebih banyak ATP molecule?
Highly folded inner membrane.
Okay, highly folded inner membrane. So bolehlah kan, so satu markah kat situ. Highly folded inner membrane or the crystal is highly folded kan. Sama je lah, crystal inner membrane is the same. Okay, so itu point yang pertama. Okay, point yang pertama, you describing the inner membrane that is highly folded or the presence of crystal, which is to provide more surface area. Okay, to provide more surface area. So that is for the first point. For the second point, okay, so you have to mention the significance of having this large surface area, which is it can embed, okay, more electron carrier. Okay, more electron carrier can be embedded in the inner membrane of mitochondria, or it can add more ATP synthase in the inner membrane of mitochondria. So more ATP synthase, more electron carrier can be embedded in the inner membrane of mitochondria. So apa signifikan dia? Supaya, okay, nombor 3, to produce more ATP. Okay, to produce more ATP during cellular respiration or to increase the productivity of cellular respiration. Itu kalau kita cerita pasal pasal inner membrane lah kan. Inner membrane untuk tempat berlakunya ETC, okay, electron transport chain or electron transport chain lah. Okay, so oxidative phosphorylation, first component dia ada ATC, kita dah describe, okay, by inner membrane tu. Tapi kalau untuk chemiosmosis apa pula? Okay, chemiosmosis ni dia melibatkan dua region. Okay, the first region is matrix and the second region is the intermembrane space. Please, saya je yang akan buat short form ni, awak jangan. You have to spell the full name of the term, okay, intermembrane space. Okay, kita balik semula untuk chemiosmosis ni, macam mana chemiosmosis ni boleh berlaku dalam mitochondria ni. Okay, so inner membrane kan, fungsi another function of inner membrane is to produce separation. Okay, the inner membrane is to produce separation between the matrix, okay, the matrix and also intermembrane space. So the importance of separating matrix and also intermembrane space so that you can create hydrogen ion gradient, proton gradient, okay, or electrochemical gradient between these two regions. Okay, so it is important for you to create hydrogen ion concentration gradient because you want to make sure, okay, for example here if I draw, in this region is the matrix region, okay, which is the concentration of hydrogen ion is low. Okay, so this is the inner membrane. So the inner membrane function to separate matrix with intermembrane space. So the intermembrane space will have a high concentration of hydrogen ion. Okay, so by having a high concentration of hydrogen ion in the intermembrane space, this will create an electrochemical gradient, or we can also refer it to as proton motive force. Okay, proton motive force in the intermembrane space, so that this proton motive force, which is a form of energy, will be used by ATP synthase, okay, to allow hydrogen ion to diffuse back into the matrix and synthesizes ATP molecule. Okay, so that is another function of inner membrane to allow the separation of matrix and also intermembrane space to make sure it can create an electrochemical gradient that generate proton multiforce, which is a form of energy. Okay, which is a form of energy to synthesize ATP molecule using ATP synthase. Itulah dia. Dan so either of the point will be enough. So dia nak 3 markah. So yang the first three tadi pun dah okay dah. You mentioning the why is it that the inner membrane of mitochondria it is highly folded kan. Okay. Okay, so number 3. Faham do you have any question on this on question 2 ni?
Faham, madam.
Okay.
Faham,
Alright.
madam.
Okay, so number 3, describe the role of NAD plus or NADH in cellular respiration. So the question worth 2 marks. Okay, so NAD plus basically it function as coenzyme. Okay, coenzyme. Dah dapat 1 markah. Okay, coenzyme. And another point to describe NAD plus, it acts as oxidizing agent. Okay, it acts as oxidizing agent. NAD plus act as oxidizing agent. Okay, oxidizing agent. Okay. Or dah dapat dua markah dah kat sini. Ataupun NADH ni, or describe for NADH. Dia nak mana-mana satu. Either you describe for NAD plus or you describe for NADH. If you are describing for NADH, okay, it function as reducing agent. Okay, it function as reducing agent. Sebab apa? Kalau reducing agent dia akan mengalami oxidation lah kan. NADH will be oxidized by releasing its electron to the electron transport chain. Okay, so itu untuk markah yang pertama kalau choose to describe NADH lah. Alright, so kalau kat sini boleh cakap kan, because NADH is a reducing agent, it will be oxidized and release electrons. Okay, it will be oxidized and release electron to the electron transport chain or to the electron carrier of electron transport chain. Dah dapat 2 markah kat situ. Okay, so you can either choose you want to describe for NAD plus or you want to describe for NADH. Okay. Or NADH can also function as electron donor. Okay, NADH function as electron donor. Okay, kalau NAD plus dia function as electron acceptor. Okay, ada banyak point lah boleh tulis kat situ. Okay, whichever. Okay, whichever that you choose to write, make sure kalau tulis awak choose NAD plus, you give 2 point describing NAD plus. If you choose NADH, you give 2 point. Okay. Okay, so number 4, describe how photophosphorylation differs, okay, from oxidative phosphorylation. Okay, so basically untuk chapter cellular respiration ni kita banyak fokus kepada oxidative phosphorylation. Okay, so oxidative phosphorylation dia adalah 4th stage. Okay, it is the 4th stage of cellular respiration and it synthesizes the most ATP molecule. Okay, but as for photophosphorylation, it involves basically, if you look at the term photo, yeah, so it means that it involved during photosynthesis. So perbezaan yang pertama dah dapat dah kat situ, this one occurs during photosynthesis. This one oxidative phosphorylation occurs during cellular respiration. Okay, so point yang pertama dah dapat dah kan, a process in photo. This one is a process in cellular respiration. Okay, so the second difference, okay, because okay, sekejap Okay, so the second difference is the location. Location. So photosynthesis obviously occurs in the chloroplast. Okay, occurs in chloroplast. This one, it occurs in the mitochondria. Okay, so that is for the second difference. For the third difference that you can include, okay, kalau photophosphorylation, the byproduct produced, okay, during photophosphorylation is oxygen. Okay, oxygen released as byproduct. Okay, as for the oxidative phosphorylation, apa yang terhasil as byproduct? Last kali tu. Apa yang terhasil?
ATP.
Byproduct. ATP bukan byproduct. ATP is the product that you want. That the cell wants. The byproduct produced adalah
Water.
apa? Water kan? Water. Ataupun sebenarnya kat sini awak boleh juga no oxygen produced. Kan, no oxygen produced. Boleh juga mana-mana. Cuma saya tak prefer perbezaan. Okay, ini ada, sebelah tak ada. Ini ada, tak ada. Macam tu saya tak prefer, tapi in this case it is also accepted. Okay. So kalau photophosphorylation menghasilkan oksigen, kalau oxidative phosphorylation tak menghasilkan oksigen ataupun menghasilkan byproduct which is water. Okay, so other difference that you can also include is the location. Okay, the location where ATP is produced. Both of these processes, photophosphorylation and oxidative phosphorylation, matlamat dia, okay, purpose dia adalah untuk menghasilkan ATP. Okay, so for photophosphorylation, the production of ATP will occur in the stroma. Sorry. In the stroma. Okay, ATP is produced in the stroma. Tapi kalau untuk oxidative phosphorylation, the ATP production, okay, occurs in the matrix. Okay, in the matrix of mitochondria. So kalau tengok kat macam yang saya draw yang kat sini ni, ni kan. So in the membrane of mitochondria you have the matrix and then you have the ATP synthase kan. So hydrogen ion when it diffuse from the intermembrane space back into the matrix, ATP synthase akan menghasilkan ATP dan penghasilan ATP tu berlaku dalam matrix. Okay, it occurs in the matrix. So ada 4 kat situ saya bagi. So dia nak 3 je. Tapi sebenarnya ada banyak lagi kan, so saya bagi je juga. Kalau photophosphorylation, kalau dah maybe you have reach to this photophosphorylation part of photosynthesis. During photophosphorylation of photosynthesis, light energy is required, okay, to split water molecule. Okay, light energy is required to split water molecule, and this process we call it as photolysis of water. Okay, involve photolysis of water. Okay, so tapi kalau untuk oxidative phosphorylation, you can easily mention that no photolysis of water occurs. Okay, so kenapa kalau untuk photophosphorylation, nama pun photophosphorylation. Light energy is required to split, okay, to split water molecule, okay, so that the water molecule can form 3 benda. Satu adalah hydrogen ion, okay, 2 adalah electrons, yang ketiga adalah oxygen. Okay, oxygen. So saya saya kelas, sorry pergi sana. Sana, duduk sana. Okay. Okay, where were we? Kan. So itulah dia. Itulah kepentingan photolysis of water during photophosphorylation untuk menghasilkan hydrogen ion, electron and also oxygen. Oxygen atom produced, air formula dia apa? H2O kan. So the splitting will produce one oxygen atom. So it combines with another oxygen atom to form oxygen molecule, which is the byproduct of photosynthesis tu tadi kan, byproduct tu tadi. Okay, so ada 5 kat situ, you can choose any 3. Okay, so far habislah dah soalan untuk cellular respiration.